Hey, it's Mike Brown from Primal Video. Yes, this is my first video here for Primal Video. I like what Justin's done with the place. I've actually set up Primal Video with Justin a little while back and have been working behind the scenes since then. But it seems like he must have left the basement door unlocked because I found my way out and now I've found a camera and I'm producing my first video. But enough about that, let's get into it. Now, we've released a ton of videos in the past showing people how to produce great video content with their iPhones or their Android smartphones. Now, from all of those videos that we've released, there's been one tip in particular that a lot of people are just completely surprised about and had no idea that they could do. And this is actually a pretty major one that helps you get good lighting in your videos. So today we're just going to run through that one tip so you don't have to go look anywhere else. I'm talking about using auto exposure lock to prevent under or overexposed shots when shooting with your smartphone. It's a simple tip that can make a massive difference to your lighting and really make or break your videos. Here's how to do it. Now, by default, when you open the camera app on your iPhone or Android, it's going to default to having auto exposure on, which is a good thing in most circumstances because it basically means the phone is going to constantly be looking at the shot, figuring out what it thinks you want to be focusing on, and then adjusting the exposure and the lighting around that. So that's great if you're shooting your kid's football game or you're out with your friends and shooting a quick video where you're all moving about and the lighting can constantly adjust through the scene. But if you're shooting a video like this one here and the lighting's changing behind you, it can completely darken you out and lighten you up as the lighting changes behind you. So if I'm sitting here now with my smartphone and somebody walks behind me, the phone may decide to go and focus on that person for a split second, adjust the lighting to really darken my face, and then come back to me and I've just got this massive change in lighting through my shot. So what auto exposure lock lets you do is basically predefine which spot on the screen or which area you want the camera to focus on and to set the lighting around and then lock it to that point so it isn't constantly adjusting throughout the shot. So you can see here that I've got a pretty bright background here. I'm actually shooting out the window. Now, if I was to move the camera around and do a bit of a pan, you can see as I come indoors, the lighting changes quite dramatically. Now, if I pan back to the window, you can see it changes again and everything inside gets much darker while everything outside actually comes into focus and the exposure gets calibrated to the outdoors. What we can do instead is enable auto exposure lock, and that'll basically let us determine what level of exposure and focus we want to set at the beginning of the shot, and then it will maintain that throughout the shot. So let's go ahead and enable auto exposure lock to prevent those changes in lighting throughout the shot. I'm going to focus on this wall here because this is going to give us a right level of exposure indoors, but it's going to completely wash out what's outdoors, as you'll see when we start to do the pan. To do that, I've just got to tap on screen on the wall here. Now, if I hold down for about a second or two, you'll see the AE lock notification will appear. That means that auto exposure lock is enabled and it's calibrated the settings and the exposure based on that point that I just selected. So now that we've locked the exposure level, we can step back and do the same pan again, and you'll notice that the lighting won't change throughout the shot. So the background that we're looking at is pretty washed out, but the inside of the apartment we can see perfectly well. So if you're shooting a video like this on your smartphone and there's variable lighting in the background or you notice the lighting is changing as you shoot, then you can easily just calibrate where you want the auto exposure lock to be enabled before you shoot, and it'll remain consistent throughout the shot. So this not only prevents any changes in exposure, but it will also give you the control to determine what point on screen you want the camera to calibrate the exposure around before you even shoot. If you'd like more tips like this one, then you should definitely check out our complete guide to filming with iPhone. I'm going to throw a link on screen somewhere now. But if you're an Android fanboy, don't worry, we've got one for you as well. I'm going to throw a link up in the cards as soon as this iPhone one's done. There it is, and I'll throw them both in the description below as well. Now, if you found this helpful, we'd really appreciate a thumbs up or a share. It really does make a big difference. Leave us a comment below if you've got any questions or your own tips. Feel free to share them down there. As for me, I'll be back soon with some more tips and tricks just like this one. I'll still leave all the heavy hitting to Justin. Don't worry, he hasn't gone anywhere. But we'll see you guys soon.